Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This is Bo Hudson. I have a couple of great guests for you. We're going to be talking about, I don't know, maybe in my top 10 favorite subjects to ever talk about. It's dogs and cats, animal rescue, etc., etc. And today, I've got Dr. Shayda Ahkami and Tamara Hedges in from the Palm Springs Animal Shelter. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, thank you for having us on.
I'm just thrilled that you could make it here this afternoon. So I'm brand new here, just moved here from the Northwest. I know people are sick and tired of having me say that, but I have to, because that's why if I sound stupid and don't know about what you're talking about, it's because I just moved here. But what I want to preface that with is up in Seattle, where I came from, is one of the most fantastic animal rescue organizations, and you know about it from the Seattle Humane Society. So I am happy to find out that we also have a fantastic animal rescue situation here in Palm Springs, and it is the Palm Springs Animal Shelter. So Tamra, let's start with you, because Doctor is new, relatively new, and you know the history and you like to talk about it. So let's get started with a little history from your point of view of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter.
Sure, thank you so much for this opportunity. Well, I, like you, came from another place. I came from San Francisco and Los Angeles, and I volunteered for quite some time with the San Francisco SPCA, a wonderful organization, and some rescues in Los Angeles. And when I came to the Palm Springs Shelter for a visit to check it out after moving to Palm Springs, I was appalled.
How long ago was this, would you say?
This was back in 2004 when we moved to the desert.
Not that long ago.
No,
Okay.
and I visited the old shelter built in 1960, a very, very small shelter, dilapidated building. Good people there trying to do the best that they could with the resources that they had.
Who owned it?
City-run shelter.
Okay.
I think that's a great question. It's an important question.
Right.
And so I decided after a friend of mine asked me to join the board of the Friends of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter, I decided to join the board. And I've never looked back since. So happy that I did that. So proud of the work that we've done. We've been able to work with the city of Palm Springs to build a new shelter, a beautiful facility in Palm Springs. And we have developed an amazing staff there. And not only have we worked in partnership to build the building and develop the staff, but we are now running the shelter as of November of 2012, November 1st. We took over the operations of the shelter. It's a public-private partnership. We're really proud of the work that we've done in a short period of time.
Wow.
It's amazing. I encourage everybody to come out and visit.
Okay, so how physically has the shelter changed? Tell us about the building and how it's different.
Well, in terms of, it's night and day. There's no comparison of the old shelter to the new shelter in terms of square footage.
Let us see it through what you say. What was it used to be like?
What it used to be like, you walk in the door and small little teeny office, and then this really small little cat room that was probably the size of a small bedroom. The cats weren't out of their cages.
Probably smelled bad.
It was not pleasant.
Right.
And the dog kennels, there were very few of them. The dogs were crowded. But again, I want to stress that the staff there did the very best that they could.
Absolutely.
With the resources that they had, and provided the very best care that they could. But it just simply wasn't adequate. And I need to mention, too, that Friends of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter has actually been around since 1996, supporting the city shelter.
Okay, so who runs it now is actually the group called
Friends of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter. And we're a private 501c3. And we formed this partnership with the city, knowing that the problem of pet overpopulation is so much larger than what a small group of employees working for the city can handle. We really need the community to step up, and they have, to not only donate and help us support the shelter financially, but to volunteer. And we have the best volunteers on the planet at our shelter. We really do. And foster, because the foster homes are really an extension of our shelter. And that's really the formula.
How is the city involved now? What role do they play?
Well, the city actually performs animal control. We're the shelter for the city. So the animals, all the stray and guardian surrenders, we say guardian rather than owner, of animals in Palm Springs come to our shelter. And our animal control officers, of whom we have two, dedicated folks that are out there on the streets picking up the stray animals, responding to nuisance calls, a barking dog situation, and that sort of thing, as well as abuse and neglect calls, and they investigate those. So they're only 2 officers. They're very busy. We have a great working relationship with them. And but for us, it's those animals. Once they pass through the door, they're our responsibility.
All right. So now tell us about the new shelter. We heard about the icky old shelter. So tell us about this lovely new shelter.
The lovely new shelter, right? Thanks. It is a beautiful facility, but as we all know, we're more than a building, and we have programs that we can talk about that support the shelter. But the shelter itself is really amazing, specifically just the animal care that we provide in that shelter.
What does it look like? Physically, tell us again. What does it look
cool.
like?
It's cool. It's sort of...
It's air conditioned, of course.
Of course it is. And it's actually plumbed for solar, which we want to have one day. It's a green building. Our landscaping is
Really?
beautiful, but it's sustainable. It's actually watered with gray water, reclaimed water. All throughout the facility, we have green features.
Can the dogs go in and out?
The dogs have the dogs have beautiful cages, kennels, and they're indoor, outdoor. They have a place to lay in the sun and be dogs in their kennels, and then they have nice raised beds. And
do people come out? Do your volunteers come out and play with them and take them out?
Yes, they do. Not only do we have volunteers who walk our dogs, which is important, but we have volunteers that socialize them. They work with our shy dogs, our scared dogs, our dogs that might need a little bit of training because they have such unbridled exuberance, let's just say. Very active dogs.
So how many square feet is the shelter now?
It's about 20,000. It's large.
Nice.
I do want to mention too, Bo, that it's not just the dogs that have the good life there, the cats. Now, originally we had a lot more cages in our shelter than what we have today. We realized that cats in the shelter really benefit from open community rooms. So it's like no more stinking cages. We've gotten rid of, not that they were stinking because we keep them clean, but we've gotten rid of a lot of the cages, and our cats are thriving in these communal environments.
Oh my
And our
gosh.
volunteers can actually go in and they can sit and read a book, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do after a long, hard day. And my outside job is just to go in there and just sit down and have cats and kittens just jump all over me. It's
Well,
great.
what we're going to do is what I also love about what you told me about the shelter is that you have a medical wing as well,
Yes.
and you also have a new director who we're going to introduce here in a moment. And that's kind of an exception to shelters, isn't it, having a medical side of things?
Well, I think when it is specifically for public shelters such as ours, usually that is that those kinds of services for the animals are outsourced, a partnership with a vet. And we had done that initially when we opened the shelter, but we've built up our surgery suite, and it's amazing. It's state of the art. And again, we're an open door public admissions shelter. We do not euthanize for space or length of stay, and that is pretty extraordinary. It's a lot of work, and I can't stress that enough. That's why it's so important that we have volunteers, donors, and foster guardians. And most important, that we have people that adopt and don't shop.
Exactly. And we're going to talk more about that now in a minute. But let's go ahead and bring your new director in. I am so excited to bring Dr. Shayda Ahkami to the microphone. And I know that you're not really new. You are a veterinarian. And tell us a little bit about your history before we talk about what your job is at the animal shelter.
Okay, thank you for having us on, Bo.
Yeah.
Well, I was always the child as a toddler on up, bringing home animals and very interested in animals. But when I was 15, I started volunteering at Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, which quickly led into a staff position, and I worked there for 11 years doing wildlife rehabilitation. So that's very close to my heart. But that was for a national animal welfare organization, so it's always been something that I've been very interested in.
So you like probably the rest of us, always picking up a bird, bringing it home, got the dogs and the cats.
Exactly.
And then you grew up and became a vet.
Exactly, yes. I went ahead and went to vet school, and I've been a veterinarian for the last 5 years, and I've had a couple jobs in the animal shelter world as being a veterinarian, and I've just transitioned into the Palm Springs Animal Shelter after being on the board for a year.
Wow.
And doing some volunteer work for the last several years with the Palm Springs Animal Shelter.
So you were in San Diego.
I grew up in San Diego. And then I went off to vet school to the Caribbean and to Scotland.
Wow.
And then
Gee, that's Too bad.
came on back, and I moved to Palm Springs, which is equally as nice as the Caribbean.
Yeah. Do you love it here?
Yes, I love it. I love the weather and our community. Palm Springs is an amazing community. We have so much support. A great city.
I'm just learning to love it, but I think you're right. Okay, so I wanted to talk just briefly about what you do as the director. What is your job at the Palm Springs Animal Shelter now?
Well, I'm the director of shelter and veterinary services. Today is my third day on the job. So
Right.
I have a lot of different hats that I wear, but one important aspect is just facilitating the great work that we've already been doing. We have amazing staff that are hardworking, compassionate, the same as our volunteers, and our board members are amazing as well. So I'm just going to be facilitating what we already have in place. And also, obviously, veterinarian on site, which is very nice, because at any point in time, we will be accepting in, injured, sick, healthy animals that are either found or unwanted as strays.
Yes, and do you spay and neuter there on the site?
Yes, we spay and neuter. We vaccinate all of our dogs and cats, and we also test them for a lot of, do a lot of testing for them that other shelters are unable to do. So we feel very lucky to be able to do that. So we do blood testing, fecal testing for internal parasites, and we will treat any condition that we're able to treat.
Great.
It's amazing, and our facility for medical treatment is amazing as well with our new shelter.
So what would be, I know you've only been there for 3 days, but what do you think a regular day would be for you, summed up in maybe just a few sentences? You'll get there in the morning, and then what happens?
Check my emails.
Right, like the rest of us.
Check my emails and just connect with the staff and see how they're doing, what any obstacles that they've maybe hit, and try to work through them. And then, probably go ahead and do my shelter rounds and just make sure that all the animals look okay, doing okay, and implement any treatments needed.
Now, if a call comes in that a dog got hit by a car, they bring it to the shelter. Do you assess the dog there and see if you can save it and adopt him out?
Yes, we would go ahead and assess right away, get any treatment that was needed on an emergency basis, get that set right away. And, as long as the animal is not suffering and it's a condition that we can treat and that's not terminal, we're going to do it. We're going to do everything we can for these animals.
I just love it.
And again, that's with the support of our community, because some of this takes a little bit of funding to do for
because
veterinary.
this is so unique, because let's face it, most places across the country, if an animal comes in injured or sick, it's goodbye.
Right, exactly. And we do everything in our power. As long as the animal has quality of life and not a guarded prognosis, we're going to do everything we can for these little guys.
Right. Well, welcome. I just can't wait to work with you more. I know that you must be thrilled about this.
I am. It's my childhood dream come true. So this is exactly where I want to be. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Tamara, let's go back to you a little bit. I know that your heart leads the way for all of you with this shelter, but there's lots of things you need. You need, like you said, this is a group endeavor, and so you need the help of our community. So what's the number one thing that you expect for people and you need from people listening right now?
Great question. First and foremost, we would like people to adopt rather than shop for their animals, for their pets. Shelters across the country are full of beautiful, wonderful animals. At any given time, it could be up to 25% purebreds in a shelter. So if you're looking for a specific pet, say you love labs, go to a shelter first.
That's a good point. Labs, there are 10 billion labs available, right?
Right.
Good way to bring up.
We get purebred cats and dogs in our shelters on a regular basis. So that would be the number one thing, to adopt rather than shop or breed. And we do have a great special going on right now. We have two great specials, actually.
All right, okay.
We have our 2 for $22, our Double Your Pleasure, Double Your Fun kitten adoption.
Wow.
We're still in kitten season, and we have some amazing kittens, the most beautiful kittens you've ever seen, well socialized thanks to our mini foster guardians. And so that we've done a special that's just unbelievable, 2 for $22, and that includes the spay-neuter, microchip, all the vaccinations, and you get lots of goodies along with that, including a free vet visit with a local vet. pet insurance, just all sorts of cool things.
You know, the one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and I always want to mention it every time I do an interview about dogs and cats, is what we all need to do collectively is stop having dogs and cats. That's the number one thing. Would you not say? I can't even believe that all these years later we're still talking about this, that we just can't have so many dogs and cats. Why do people just, what happens? I mean, every animal that's going out of your place is spayed or neutered, right?
Correct. I think that's a question that many of us that are in animal rescue, animal welfare ask all the time. And I think there's an assumption that it's because people just don't care. And while that might be true of some people, that they don't care about their animals, I think it's also an access issue. So we're working hard at the Palm Springs Animal Shelter to spread the word about spay-neuter. We're actually offering low-cost spay-neuter at our shelter. There's a number of facilities across the Coachella Valley that offer low cost. We're working together to try to increase the low-cost and even no-cost efforts for spay-neuter and getting out into our community. But that's an excellent question.
Yeah, excellent. We want to always point that out. Don't let your dog or cat have puppies or kittens.
Exactly.
Unless you're a breeder. And even then, that's another show.
That is.
Okay, so let's jump ahead. You want to tell people to adopt, and then you need you need volunteers. And I know there's probably people listening who think, gee, what could I do with my life? I don't know what to be doing. You know what people can do with their life, right?
Absolutely. And we have such a wide variety of volunteer opportunities that it doesn't matter what you've done in a previous career or what you're doing now, if you're even doing anything now. We have a minimum of 8 hours a month, which isn't much at all.
Heck no.
But then we have people that are in there 3 or 4 days a week.
And what do they do? Mention
They
some of the
do
things.
everything. Probably our most popular opportunities are dog and cat socializers.
Right.
So those that sit and socialize with the kitties and those that walk and socialize with their dogs. Super important. But we also have volunteers that answer our phones and greet people when they come through the door. We have volunteers that assist in surgery after spay-neuter, helping the animals come out of anesthesia. We need people to help with our special events, of which we have many. Just something for everyone, every personality type, every skill set. So our next volunteer training is on Saturday, September the 6th, and it's at 11 a.m. at the shelter. It's 2 hours, and it includes a tour of the shelter. And you don't need to RSVP, you just need to show up 11 o'clock at the shelter in the community room.
All right. And is there a phone number to call for people listening right now, or how do they get in touch with you to look at that?
The same number, actually, 760-416-5718, or go to our website, which is palmspringsanimalfriends.org.
Okay, so
we need foster guardians.
Foster, yeah.
We really do. And as we said, we have a lot of kittens that have come through, but it's not just kittens. For fosters, we are always looking for those that are good with neonatals, young puppies, young kittens that need to be bottle fed. Sometimes the puppies will have their mother with them. Sometimes they won't. Same with the kittens. So that's really important. But then we have animals, as Dr. Ahkami has said, that have come through with some injuries or health issues. And those animals, while they're recovering, do so much better in a private home. So we'd love for people to step up and foster those animals in medical need. And then lastly, we need those that are good with shyer animals. We get a number of animals that haven't been well socialized, particularly dogs, in our shelter, and they could really, really benefit from just a couple weeks of loving care from a private home.
What do you require for someone to foster a dog or cat?
Good question. We provide all of the supplies, so to speak, in terms of food and medical assistance and medicine if that's needed, and even training if it's a shy dog or a shy kitty. We'll do all of those things. But what we require in terms of process and procedure is to have the foster guardians come in and meet with our foster coordinator. Her name is Judy Crotch. She's amazing. She is like the perfect person to do foster coordination. So all of that information is on our website in terms of when those meetings are taking place. They're usually twice a month.
Okay, great. The other thing you need is funding. You need money.
Yes, we
Anybody
do.
listening who has some really big money, doesn't know what to do with it, you know where to put it.
Good point. But it's not just the big money, it's the little money.
Little money
because
adds up.
Every dollar counts. And, we strive to keep our adoption fees low. It's just $60 for a cat and $80 for a dog. And that includes,
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
It's
That's
crazy.
really great.
It's crazy low, but we want it to be affordable.
Yes.
We want it to be affordable. So we do need the community to step up and subsidize, because the cost of caring for an animal is well above $60 or $80. It's into the hundreds and sometimes even thousands. So yes, we do rely on our donors. And as we said, every penny counts. We have lots of donor opportunities. We have events. We have just a whole slew of ways that people can help financially.
Okay, what do you have the most of? Large dogs?
We have a lot of cats, and we do have a lot of large dogs. We live in Southern California, and there are a lot of large dogs that fit the, let's just say, pit bull description, which means very little, because they're all just beautiful blends for the most part.
Exactly.
And then we have small dogs. We have a lot of what we call tan chihuahuas that are just the cutest dogs on the planet. But people seem to think, because they're almost ubiquitous, that they're not special, and they are special. They're wonderful.
Oh yeah.
And
that's actually my favorite.
Yeah, we love our cheese, and just like as I said, we have a lot of cats, and they're beautiful. It's just, you have to come in and see for yourself how wonderful our pets really are in our shelter.
Well, I just thank you both so much for coming out. I'm just thrilled to meet you both, and I know that we're going to be working with you guys in all capacities. I'm hoping to help get the word out that we love animals and we want to find homes. And I know that everybody, most everybody I know loves animals. So we just need to all get together and work on this, right?
Right. Thank you so much for having us on.
All right. The Palm Springs Animal Shelter. If people want to get a hold of you, what's your website?
Oh, good question. Our website is palmspringsanimalfriends.org. And they can call us also at 760-416-5718. And the shelter is located in Palm Springs, right near Demuth Park at 4575 East Mesquite Avenue. And we're open every day of the week except for Tuesdays. We're closed to the public. And we're open late. I just want to add, on Thursdays, we're open from 1 to 7 on Thursdays. And we actually have a clinic, a vaccination clinic that runs from 4 to 6. All the other days, we're open from 11 to 5.
What's your biggest day for adoptions? Saturday?
Saturday's a pretty busy day. And I also, if I may, would like to encourage people to go to our Facebook page,
please.
Friends of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter, and please like us there. We are constantly sharing photos of our adoptables, as well as sharing happy endings, which are our adoption stories.